welcome. Happy Halloween. We have a very spooky special today. This is Sarah Winchester. She is the producer on our show, and pre-producing and singing, songwriting, and acting. You've been a bartender for like 10 years.
That's right, and I've also been a bar consultant, which is basically the person who helps make the menu. So this is right in my wheelhouse of a little diet-free with convertible options and of course, some spooky spirits. We are gonna make 2 drinks today. This one is going to be a Frankenstein's Monster Margarita. I'm very excited.
Yes!
We're gonna take some canned pears. If you have access to fresh pears, go for it. Lychee also works really great. So if you have a good like Asian market, you can get some lychee, even canned lychee's great. The idea is you want something light in color because we're about to make some spooky eyeballs. So I'm gonna use a melon baller. I'm gonna take the pear out of the cans. I'm gonna drain them. You don't want any syrup or any of that kind of stuff. We'll have plenty of sugar in our drink.
Yes.
So I'm going to just place the half here, and then you're gonna put your melon baller and you're just gonna put as much pressure as you can.
I love that spooky sound.
Squish. This comes right off, and then I have a cute little eyeball. Now I have frozen some blueberries, and I'm gonna just place one in there as best as I can. But don't worry too much because we are actually going to freeze them to give them a little more contact connection. So we're gonna make a couple of these so we can each have at least 2 eyeballs for our monster margarita. Do you wanna try it?
Yes, ma'am. Right in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that sound.
The squish is real.
And then when they freeze, the juice is literally gonna hold them together.
Perfect.
Done!
Will you put these in the freezer
Yes,
for me?
ma'am. Be right back.
While our pears and blueberry eyeballs set in the freezer, we are going to start on our second drink. For this one, we are going to use martini glasses. This is not a martini. This is a cocktail. It is a candy corn cocktail. The reason it is not a martini is martinis basically translate as straight liquor. So if you're having a cosmopolitan, I don't care if they put it in a martini glass. It's not a martini. It is a cocktail, and a lot of people like to use that as a misnomer because of the glass it's in, but it's just not real. You want your glass chilled. What we're gonna do is, while we're making our drink, we're going to put some ice into the bottom of our glass, and we're actually going to add some water. What that's gonna do is evenly start to chill the entire glass so that when you're done, you're dumping your drink into a cold glass instead of a room temp, which will immediately start to warm your drink. Now we're gonna start with our drink. You're always gonna fill your tin with some ice. If you're using a bowl that has ice in it or you're using a basin, always, always, always use metal, or we can use our princess plastic. The reason is that if you accidentally break your glass into your ice, all of that ice has to go in the trash. You don't ever want to risk putting glass in a drink. If we use metal or plastic, we know we're never going to make that mistake.
No glass in the pool, no glass in the ice.
Absolutely. I'm going to use the plastic to scoop the ice, but I'm going to build my drink in a pint glass. The first thing we're going to do is mix what's going to be the primary part of our drink. Yes. Cocktails are just chemistry. It's all about the mix. So whenever you have something sweet, you need citrus. Those are like bartender 101.
Yes.
So for this drink, we are going to use some pineapple juice.
Yes.
About 1 shot's worth. If you ever buy a tin and it comes with one of these, this is actually 1.25 shots, and this is usually 0.75. Most drinks, that's the ratio. You could also just use a shot glass to measure. It's up to you on what you have in your house. It's really important to measure when you're making drinks because it can get messy real fast.
How many ounces is in a shot glass?
So a shot glass is going to be 1 ounce.
Perfect.
That's not usually filled right to the rim because that's not typically how we do it. Right, as you like shake and set it down. So you'll typically, if you want to use one of these, to the rim is an exact 1 shot, but it's up to you. We're going to do 2 shots of pineapple juice.
Perfect, so 2 ounces of pineapple juice.
Exactly.
Learning.
We are then going to add our alcohol. We are using whipped Smirnoff.
Yeah.
If you want to use a pour spout, you can. It's basically 1/1000 for every 1/4 ounce, so 4 counts would be 1 shot. But you may want to practice before you just do it with a spout if you've never done it before, because one person's 1/1000 might be faster or slower than someone else's. Because you can do 1 crocodile or you can do 1/1000.
A Severus Snape 1.
Exactly. Exactly. You can always practice with your shot glass to make sure you're counting correctly. If you want your drinks a little heavier pour, you can do a little more of that. If you were making this to be a virgin drink, so non-alcoholic, you're going to use a little bit more of your pineapple juice. And when we're done, you're going to actually add a little bit of lemon lime soda.
Oh, perfect.
So once you have your alcohol in here, we are going to do a splash of lime juice. So I'm just gonna do a little squeeze. So now we are going to shake. You'll see bartenders sometimes go, the reason is if it's not sealed correctly, it's gonna be messy. You're gonna be sad your drink is over before it began.
That was the trick before the treat.
However you wanna shake it is fine. The goal is to mix the drink. So if you wanna be fancy and you wanna hold it over your head and get a little side shake, you can.
Great.
But the reality is just make sure you got a firm grip, and up-down motion is ideal.
You can feel. And it's amazing how cold it makes everything so quickly.
Correct.
The shaking really works.
Absolutely. And if you have a metal tin, you'll notice that you suddenly have condensation on your tin. And if you look, you can see there's now also condensation on our glass. That's how you know it's nice and chilled. You're gonna dump this in your sink.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Glorious. Now, like I said before, if you don't have a shaker, totally fine. This is a little bit more skill, but what you can do is simply smash your glass into the top of this and shake it. Or if your glass fits, you can always wedge it in like this and give it a good shake. And then you can just strain it into your drink. The next part is a little bit tricky.
Okay.
You're going to use some grenadine. You could also use like maraschino cherry juice if you have a can of that or a jar of maraschino cherries. What we're gonna do is very carefully, you're gonna put it right against the side of the glass and you're gonna very slowly just pour enough that you start to see the bottom.
Oh,
so you can always lean and make sure you take a glance. You don't want too much because remember, this is syrup. So as little as you can, that it shows up at the bottom, but isn't bananas. So at this point, if you were going to do a virgin version, you would then top this with your lemon lime soda. You never want to put carbonation in a shaker because it'll explode like when you shake a soda. I like to make mine on the shorter side, especially if I'm going to add something like whipped cream to the top. So to do the whipped cream, you want to make sure you start again on the edges. Glass dissipates aerosol, it dissipates air. Therefore, we always want to make as little room between the glass and whatever we're doing. If you're a learning beginner bartender, you don't really want to fill your martini glass all the way to the rim because when you go to pick it up, the chances of spillage go up dramatically.
Look how beautiful.
There is our candy corn cocktail.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And a little sip.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
It's outstanding.
But we're not done because now we need to finish the margarita.
Double trouble.
So since we finished our first cocktail, we are now gonna go back to the one we started. A margarita is actually a shake and dump. That means that if we are going to garnish our glass with anything around the rim, we need to do that before we dump the drink into it.
So there was shake and dump and dump.
So we're gonna start with what we're gonna put on the rim. That's gonna be step one. For my Frankenstein monster margarita, I like to take some chocolate chips and I pour them into a little bag. And this is where we get to use our elbow grease. And we're gonna use, I have a small rolling pin.
It's so cute.
But you can use anything you want and we're just going to roll them. I had Sarah Ann get me a little baby expo. So we're actually gonna draw a little Frankenstein face. We're gonna take a little dish and we are going to put our chocolate, and you wanna just put it in one space in general. I know a lot of times you'll see people try to put it in a circle. There's no reason to do that because we're gonna rotate our glass. So one space is easier because it means everything's in one spot. I'm gonna make mine a little more Frankenstein with some green sprinkles. To make sure everything sticks to our glass, we need to make it moist. So we are going to use some lime. Margaritas usually use lime as their cutter, which is to cut the intensity of the tequila. So now that you've added the lime to your glass, you're now going to just from a side angle, press your glass into your mixture.
And this is the same thing that you would do if you were salting a rim too, right?
Absolutely.
Or just sugared chocolating a rim.
So this is the way I like it. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love him. So now that our glasses are ready and garnished, we are going to put our ice in our tin. You always want to put your ice in first because that's going to cut the edge up with your liquor. And now we are going to add our tequila because it's a margarita, which means tequila. We're using Reposado, but you're welcome to use Blanco, whatever you like. If you're going to be making a non-alcoholic or a virgin version, you are going to skip this step. No tequila for you. As we talked about before, if you want to use the pour spout, it's about 1 second per quarter ounce. And a full ounce is a shot, so that's about a 4-second count.
So 4 1,000s gets me to an ounce.
You got it.
Awesome. And then a ½ ounce more?
Absolutely. If you go to a restaurant, they might be doing a 1.25 ounce because that's just a little less expensive. If you're doing it from home, do 1.5 ounces. So I have chosen to make an apple margarita. So we are actually going to use a flavored vodka. We are going to do 0.75 of this. So we're going to do
3 1,000s.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah. Now, if you don't like apple, totally fine. You can convertible this with whatever you want. You could use Midori, which makes it like a melon flavor. You could even use blue curacao and make it a blue monster. Go for it. If you're doing a non-alcoholic version of this drink, what you would use is like an apple syrup. We are going to cheat and add a little food coloring.
It's like green slime.
Make sure it's on real good. I like to do a shake round before I add my citrus. This is so that the color can break down into the alcohol. If you don't have a shaker, you could also always grab a handy dandy spoon and give it a real good thorough stir.
We just won't tell James Bond.
So we now have our Frankenstein grain. Now we're gonna add our citrus. Remember, anytime there's something sweet, we always wanna put in something citrus. So we're gonna use that same half of a lime and we're just gonna squeeze out as much as we can. We're now gonna just do a splash of sweet and sour.
Splash. I love that sound.
I do too. We shook it, now we gotta dump it. We wouldn't be finished if we didn't have our monster eyeballs. So we've taken our eyes out and they look beautiful.
Yeah.
Freezing fruit or freezing different things is a great trick for chilling a drink.
So googly.
Spooky eyeballs.
They're so cute.
Now, if this was a non-alcoholic drink, you would top again with a Sprite or something on the clear side. If you didn't want as much sugar, you could use club soda. Cheers!
Cheers, beautiful. Happy Halloween, everybody. Sarah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for teaching us. Thank you for showing us how to make our own drinks at home.
Absolutely.
Have a happy Halloween, everybody, and we will see you next week with another diet free recipe. Cheers.
Let's go take 2 drinks. Double trouble.
Double feature.